This year, Kandy, Sri Lanka will host the third Nyeleni Global Forum. Small-scale food producers, indigenous peoples, feminists, health workers, climate justice activists, social and solidarity economic defenders, and other grassroots activists will come from more than 80 countries to radically change the system. In the face of a violent global system, we are rising up, resisting, and building power from the bottom up. This forum is a spark in our collective struggle. Walk with us towards Kandy. Visit nyeleniglobalforum.org.
The first thing is that if you could say first your name and your organization, where you come from, so it just keeps us for us for record.
I am Yildiz Temürtürkan from Turkey. And I have been working inside the international feminist movement since 1998, the World March of Women. And recently I am the international coordinator of the World March of Women. We are based in Ankara, Turkey, our international secretariat office in Turkey right now.
Perfect, Yildiz. Thank you very much. So, going directly to the first question, the idea was to ask you, how is the right to self-determination lived in your community without impositions from above or from outside? And if you could share with us a story where people took back control over an important decision.
Yeah, self-determination is very important in our personal story as well. I am from the anti-imperialist revolutionary youth movement, and right after the military regime in Turkey, and that is called revolutionary youth, and that has the roots inside the anti-imperialist left since 1960s. But self-determination is very important for the peoples living our territory right now. 100 years ago, we had the experience of liberation war, and our country actually was established following a big liberation war as an occupied territory by the foreign armies of imperial powers. In the country itself, as a result of the big resistance. And so this has important for us because from generation to generation it is transmitted. So today when we go to the local places at grassroots level with the grassroots women fighting against transnational corporations, they see that this is the new liberation war. It was with armies 100 years ago, but today they occupy our territory with the power of capital and through transnational corporations. So we can see at grassroots level how deep-rooted that our self-determination, desire to be independent from imperial powers. On the other hand, we have other peoples living in our territory, like recently Kurdish people trying to accepted their self-determination rights, and they paid a lot of price in this way, and more than 50 years they have been struggling for that. And so as the Turkish left movement, we always supported other people's right to self-determination and their struggle. We have been always in solidarity and support with the peoples, all peoples, including the peoples of Turkey struggling for their rights for self-determination.
Democracy is not a gift from above. It's built by the people. We say no to fascism, no to colonialism, no to genocide. We fight for peace, solidarity, and rights for all. On the road to Nyeleni, we resist and organize.
in a world where the big media control public opinion, how have you strengthened the people's voice and resisted fear and misinformation?
Yeah, this is very important point, because we are always complaining not to get access to true information, especially on the issues like Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, because all the information comes through the Western media, Western mainstream media that are supportive for their government's position. So it is really hard to reach to the correct information, because the information generally coming from social media is very much manipulative, and the actions or strategies adopted based on the information coming from social media is mostly results in failure, and it's not the sometimes correct and mostly manipulative issues. So it is very important to create our own alternative media. In Turkey, there is no mainstream media anymore, because the media is the pro-government. It's very partisan, under control of authoritarian government. We have alternative media, of course, but it is they live in very difficult condition, and the alternative media is generally being criminalized, and they try to be silenced. But luckily, in this age of digital technologies, it is difficult to silence alternative voices, but it is important to organize it. So we have a good experience in this field, which is the capiremove.org. Capire means...
I was going to ask you about Capire.
Yeah. Capire means to understand. We try to understand the world through the eyes and voices of grassroots women, from the women who are in resistance, in struggle, and in solidarity. So it echoes the voices of women in the movement, publicize the struggles and organizational processes from the different territories. So it's a good example, and in multi-language tool website, and so I would advise you to visit very often to hear stories from the grassroots women from all over the world.
So it's capire.mov, right?
Yeah, capiremove.org.
Capiremove.org. Okay.
It's
perfect.
in English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, sometimes in Arabic content.
Yeah,
yes.
and well, I also really recommend to follow Capire's web, because also they have interviews and speeches from women from all over the world. I think this is one of the most interesting things about Capire, that they really are finding the way to put on the table the voices of women from territories from all over the world, really. So congratulations in that sense also to the World March of Women. Yildiz, continuing with our questions, what does peace mean to you? Yeah. Not the peace of the powerful, but the peace with justice. Have you been part of any grassroots peace building process you would like to share?
Yes, since my childhood, we always been inside the peace initiatives in our country, because we have war in the country with Kurds, between Kurds and Turks, as I said, to achieve their rights and equal citizenships. And so that means that we have been involved always peace initiatives, which is quite difficult and challenging. And on the other hand, at international level, from our experience inside the World March of Women, so we drafted a good document. We drafted with the participation of women from all over the world, and we adopted in the year 2004 a global charter, Women's Global Charter for Humanity. That charter has 5 values that are equality, freedom, solidarity, justice, and peace. So we describe what does it mean? the peace. Peace is achieved principally as a result of equality between women and men, social, economic, political, legal, and cultural equality, rights protection, eradication of poverty, ensuring that all people live in dignity, free of violence, ensuring that everyone has employment, enough resources to feed, house, clothe, and educate themselves. And it means protection in old age and access to health care. So this is the broad meaning, what we understand peace. Since then, since 2005, peace and demilitarization is one of our axes of action, global action. And especially in 2010, the first time we had global feminist action in a conflict country, that is DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. And it was really important experience that inspired our action in 2015 in Turkey, when we start our feminist caravan from the border of Syria. It is the border dividing Kurdish territory. In 2015, there was a big war there. So for our practice, the feminist action in Turkey, so we took feminist action outside the big metropoles. So we went to borders of the conflict. So it is important because in Antakya, which is at the border of Syria, we had the first women's demonstration against imperialist war in 2015. So that initiative still continues in this action year, and we had an action there, and we debated with the women the situation of women in Syria recently, in that part genocide of the minorities in Syria, and the women subjected to rape and violence. So we continue that initiative. In this year, we are planning another action to highlight that issue at international level. But also this year is on September 21st, which is the World Day for Peace. We will have international gathering in Nepal for peace and demilitarization. So that is the concept of this action year. We march against capitalism and wars, and we defend the people's sovereignty, and also when we wear as a concept of this action year. So the peace is very important in our actions, because I think women are the important forces struggling against wars and also fascisms all over the world.
Totally, Yildiz. How do you organize in your territory to break isolation and reclaim politics as a tool for collective transformation?
Yeah, it is important. We have an important tool as an international feminist organization. So to break the isolation, it is important to articulate local struggles to the global ones. So this is the way that we can break isolations of the local struggles. Unfortunately, in Turkey, the major struggles against transnational companies, against extractivism, for food sovereignty, to protect the waters, rivers, all these struggles are very local. Not only in Turkey, we see the same pattern in the Eastern Europe, in the Balkans as well. They are very much isolated, and so it is important to organize a network of the struggles and also organizing the solidarity economy led by women, as in the form of women's cooperatives. We try to organize grassroots level organizations instead of big NGOs or the NGOs working at the global at the metropoles. Instead of that, we go to the villages, rural places, and the poor neighborhoods of the cities, and to organize those. It is very difficult and long-term process. In fact, it's not that easy to work with them from local to global level, but it seems this is the only way to break the isolation, to help their articulation to the global movements.
Enough of an economy for the few. It's time to send our life with food sovereignty, dignified incomes, and justice for all. What's common is not for sale, it's ours to defend. From the ground up, we build people's powers at the Third Nyeleni Global Forum.
Today, many communities around the world live under occupation or war. So how do you build international solidarity from where you are? Are there any gestures you've received or offered that left a deep impression in that sense?
Yeah, we try to bring together because it is important to struggle the local struggles in that countries. If the people struggling, and then it is easy to bring them to organize solidarity with them. For example, Palestine issue, as the Palestinian people do not give up struggling over 70 years against occupation. So they are the good symbol of people all over the world. We can organize solidarity action because they are, concretely in the struggle. So there are people struggling. It is important to make them visible first. For example, what happened in Western Sahara. So bring the issue more visible, more visible day at global level. And so this year we launched our international action on March 8 in Western Sahara together with Sahrawi women. It is very impressive how they live in the desert in the south of Algeria. More than 50 years, and the women's stories, many of them are educated in European countries of engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, and different on subjects, but they come back to the desert to live in this territory because it is about dignity, and they do not leave their territory and they do not evacuate the territory, so they still continue living there. So they deserve a good solidarity as well, Sahrawi people. And also we are in solidarity with Kanak people. Mm-hmm. And at international level to make in New Caledonia still ongoing process, and they continue anti-colonial struggle there. A lot of criminalization happening that avoids also the Kanak women to articulate to international processes. They cannot communicate freely and safely. And also the situation in the Middle East is, as we are located in Turkey, especially the situation in Syria that has a big impact in our life. And also it is important issue. We organize also solidarity with the countries suffering from sanctions and blockades. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we organize anti-imperialist week and to bring the voices from those countries to explain how these imperialist policies and militarist policies have impact on the lives of women.
This was one more voice in the growing tide ahead of the third Nyeleni Global Forum. We communicate to resist, we dream to transform. We will continue to meet in the territories, in the struggles, and at nyeleniglobalforum.org.